Very nice.
Well, thank you to everyone coming out on a nice August day.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to say, I still think we're in June.
I know. Where did July go?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's nice to see some.
Last of our
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the last of our summer series. So all of them are still available for people who want to watch them if you missed any of the other in our series of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks for the walking scanner shout out. Done.
Yay, Julie.
So who is leading the first meditation?
I'm leading that. Julie, did you want to give just a little intro to the
No, I'll do it after. I think it's easier.
Sounds good. All right, friends. As we start all of our mindful steps sessions, we'd like to start with a minute of mindfulness and really just a moment of silence for you so that you can connect to you and let yourself be present for this time. If you need to shut off your phone or adjust your seat in any way, take a moment to sit tall, and we will start with our minute. I have a little chime here. I grab it. And with chimes, as you know, sometimes they kind of come in and out, and sometimes you're the lucky one and you get to hear the whole range of sound. But you'll start to hear the chime that will start the minute, and then I'll chime again at the end of the minute. Again, this moment for you, welcoming your time here. Welcoming back this moment, feeling yourself seated here, being here. If you decided to close your eyes, a moment to blink them open, welcome back the space. Hello, hello. Thank you for taking that little mindful break before we start sharing.
No, I'm the muted one. Heidi has to at some point talk while on mute, so we have a hat trick. We're talking about humanity today, and it's, I feel, a pretty interesting topic and quite relevant. So we're going to give actual practices, things that give us both stability, which is kind of like having a strong back in a situation, but also keeping our hearts open and soft when we need them to be, when we need our warm-heartedness to be available. And because losing humanity or any of the numbness that comes with, facing a very stressful world happens, we often feel a disconnect from our sense of purpose. So just mentioning that that's that's something that can happen. And then inviting you all and us all to reflect on what helps and what hurts in terms of eroding our humanity versus lifting it up. So the definition of humanity in the Webster Dictionary online is a compassionate, sympathetic, or generous behavior or disposition, being humane, which also implies that sense of like keeping humanity in the midst of battle, which is, you can see where that'd be a difficult situation. Or humane being something for both humans and animals. I would call it a warm-heartedness. It is a very good emotion in the sense that it generally feels good. We associate humanity with some level of reverence. It is one of the top provokers of all. In fact, moral beauty, which means you're inspired by somebody else's act of humanity, which is either, a kind, immense courage or compassion or kindness for others, that ends up being the top inspirer of all, which we had the other all class a few weeks ago, when we talked about other wonderful experiences in life that provoke all. Moral beauty and acts of humanity are number one. So why? Well, it makes us feel good to even learn about somebody else's act of humanity. It activates our reward system. The nucleus accumbens is one of the top reward areas of the brain, and it becomes active when we hear about other people being kind, when we witness acts of compassion, and when we ourselves are compassionate. It feels good. It feels rewarding. Oh, it made me so good to be part of this volunteer project, right? We say things like that. The other thing that happens, though, is that in order for compassion and empathy to occur, you also need our little friend, the amygdala. The amygdala is responsible for fear. It's responsible for anger, but you absolutely need it to be compassionate, because compassion means suffering with. That's the literal passion in the Latin word for suffering. If you consider like Passion of the Christ, that definition of passion, suffering with another. It has to be legitimate. You have to really take on a little bit of like, I feel bad for them, or it pains me to see you this way. So our language it expresses the fact that you also end up feeling a little bit bad, but you also need it to feel good. So the amygdala is active when you're like, ooh, it was bad, but now that suffering is lifted. And that's a great thing. This hardworking family that couldn't get ahead finally has a house. Yeah, you feel joyful that suffering is lifted. So the amygdala is a funny part of the brain, and that the trained meditators that I worked with were able to turn it off on demand by doing the calm, abiding practice of mindfulness that we just did, just by placing attention on the breath, or, in this case, on a little dot on the screen. If they heard the sounds of human sufferings, they turned off the amygdala during that meditation, but they turned it on during compassion. They turned it on. So amygdala, if you leave it turned on, activates the HPA axis, which is the stress part of the stress response in our body and brain, and it results in pouring cortisol into our bloodstream all day, all night. So we have too much stress hormone that wreaks havoc on our brain and body, and we end up getting burned out. And burnout especially happens in careers where you're interacting with people and having situations which are challenging and don't have a nice, simple resolution. So Eve Ekman, if you love the science, if you're one of these people who's like, I'm a real science buff and I'd love to go down the rabbit hole of Eve Ekman's videos. There's not a ton of them, but they're very like educational. And then she describes things in really easy to understand, but not insulting your intelligence ways. So she talks about the fact that stress is too much emotional arousal. And most people won't cop to being, emotionally aroused. And she studied juvenile detention center prison guards, and they certainly weren't saying they were emotional, but it is what was happening. They were having too many periods of frustration or feeling bad for people, or, something's unresolved, or there's a morally ambiguous situation and I don't know what the right thing to do is. Those things over and over, having an intensity and density and frequency where you can't recover in between these like intense things that are happening over the course of a day or in your life right now will lead to too much emotional arousal, which feels bad to the brain. It takes you into that kind of panic zone. So the emotional exhaustion is one of the 3 dimensions of burnout. And the reason why you don't necessarily stay in emotional exhaustion is you can't function if you're completely overwhelmed. So the brain does a handy thing, shout out to the brain. It will turn down all emotion. And that leads to a state of being numb, which could be useful if you're getting through a situation, right? So I don't want you to feel bad and angry at your brain for doing this. It's doing something to make you function. But the problem is the lack of personal accomplishment goes down. I was actually reminded by rewatching one of Eve Ekman's video that personal accomplishment also includes a sense of purpose, a sense of feeling like what I'm doing is making a difference. And if you're trying to help others, but feeling like, you never see the outcome or whether it's helping or not, and people are still in pain or people are still suffering, and I tried to help them, but they're not completely helped, you're going to start to get an overwhelm that leads to not feeling fulfilled or feeling like you are fulfilling your life's mission and things of that nature. Mindfulness can help all that. I won't go into the details of this study, but if you've been to other events, I talk about this study a lot because it's very clear. And it's published in JAMA, which is a really high journal. So what we're stacked against when we say, oh, I feel like, I'm losing my humanity, is this process in the brain that is just like, I can't be this frustrated all the time. So it just turns everything down. And that means joy isn't as accessible, compassion isn't accessible, empathy isn't accessible. Just human connection with your, friends and family may feel muted. And you might, and what happens, like I've had med students rotate through my lab, and then they go on and then they tell me about their residency years later. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I've experienced people with such burnout that they're objectifying patients and not even treating them as human beings. And the closer they are to death, the more they're objectified. And they're like, I don't even want to feel for them at all because I'll just get hurt, right? That type of thing happens and the actual job performance goes down and you have less fulfillment in the job. When you have this feeling of empathy, which is usually linked with a set of facial expressions, in the eyebrows and in the mouth that indicates you're like kind of suffering with, right? This person feels sad. You look at her eyes and she is reflecting suffering with someone. And this person is reflecting the painful wince that comes from, I can't take it, it's too much. And it's the same thing we do when we ourselves feel pain, but we start to do this and then the brain sometimes, the wince in our brain turns into numbness. And when human interactions are fraught with complexity and pain, they start to become devalued. And our brain is wired to feel love and compassion and connection with humans. And also rodents are the same way a little bit. They will help a rodent in a dangerous situation, even if they don't have any connection to that other mouth. But if those social interactions are paired with foot shocks, they will start to prefer heroin to social interaction. But prior to that, they will turn down, they would rather play with another rat or even just help the other rat. So how do we get back to the reward? Compassion, love, joy, all those things are very rewarding and they involve working through that period of sadness and getting to the other side where you feel joy. And so we want to go from feeling bad to feeling good. This is not a study of like a compassion meditation, but an active compassion. So here they showed if you recall that Haitian earthquake in 2011, I think it was, or 2010, and they showed real pictures of children that were still in the orphanage. Their parents, something had happened to them in the earthquake. And of course, that's a very sad situation. And this kind of showed that there's this identifiable victim effect. You felt humanity when you saw the picture of the child. And all of a sudden it evokes, even though this child is bright-eyed and smiling, it evokes, oh my gosh, what a kind child, whatever happened to their parents, And so there's that sense that you feel bad for them. But then they were given a choice to donate money, and they'd be more likely to donate if they saw the picture. And so this just shows that they donated when they saw the picture. The name didn't matter. That's just kind of other part of the study. But their positive arousal went up. So it was rewarding. And the higher they felt positive, the more they donate money. And this shows the time course. The amygdala comes first. So first they see the picture of the real child. The red is the photo of the child versus a silhouette. And they feel bad. The amygdala comes on. They're connected to that child and they're like, oh, I feel, my heart goes out. Then the nucleus accumbens, the reward area, comes on, and it's highest when they actually donate the money. But even when they wish the child well, it goes up. And the other study, and I've showed this one before, the Madison study where and this is going to show a picture of this child with burn, the burn victim child, which you might have seen if you've seen my presentations before, but they did not donate money. They only wish the child well. So they're not able to go out and help this child, but wishing them well. Okay. And so here is, wishing they could connect with the doctor and get the surgery they need. That activated social connection. Hey, I feel good. It feels good to feel good about someone and to feel care. And then it did activate the nucleus accumbens reward, dopamine, So you can go from feeling uncomfortable with suffering to training your brain to feeling good about being able to at least wish the person happiness. And if you can, physically being able to help them or at least being present with them, which giving attention is the best, the thing that we humans really need. So what can we do? This study just shows they train random people, 140 working adults on loving kindness, compassion, meditation. And over the course of 8 weeks, not just loving kindness and compassion went up, but amusement, awe, contentment, joy, gratitude, hope, interest, love, pride. When you start to work on loving kindness, all of a sudden that cloud lifts of, that burden of the numbing is actually quite a burden. It's heavy. And when it starts to lift and you can connect with the reward of that positive emotion of loving kindness, all the other positive emotions tend to come flooding in too. So when we start to feel numb and lose our humanity, we're losing a lot. We're losing a lot of connection with life. This other study is one of my favorites just because we're actually going to do a little meditation with it. Okay. We're going to enact the study. So they had to bring a picture of themselves. Here just happens to be an old picture of me. And this is my mom. So they had to bring a picture of someone that just naturally evoked love for them. And then they would see those pictures as well as pictures of some strangers. And here's how it kind of went. So you would see a picture of a stranger and then rate, okay, how connected do you feel towards this person? So you can go through this in your head. How do you feel? What would you select? And then how similar do you feel towards this person? And how positive do you feel towards this person? And then they'd see another stranger face, okay? And then they might see a familiar person, right, that they brought in. So now, what do you feel towards this lovely person? And how connected do you feel towards Laurel? How similar do you feel? How positive do you feel? Got some high ratings, Laurel. And so they train them to do this compassion meditation practice, or they would just visualize one of the strangers just in different locations. Like here they are walking through a park. Here they are, in a basketball court. But for the meditation, they did this. First, you stabilize your, body and mind by being in a nice meditation posture and finding your breath, or even just feeling the temperature of breath in your nostrils, feet on the ground, feeling very centered. And from that place of grounded stability, you wish that person well. May they be happy. May they enjoy the things that they love in life, or may they have all burdens and stressors and pain lifted. And then after doing that, we're going to go back to mindfulness, feeling our feet on the ground. And that that feeling stable in our body. And we're going to be doing more of those exercises with Heidi, with Laurel, that stabilize both our body and our mind. It allows you to safely reach out, knowing that you can come back to your center and you yourself have not bled out. You are not the one who is going through the pain. You can be with them for a moment, but come back to your island. So in this case, we're working more on kind of a joyful, happy wish. So first we ground ourselves, feeling our feet on the ground, feeling our breath in our body. And now we have our picture of our the stranger that we've been assigned. And this picture was probably taken about 20 years ago. So you can imagine, like, may this person be well, like whatever they're doing in life now. Like, I hope that they've have had success in life, good friends and family, time doing their favorite activities in life. Joy. Watching a sunset or a sunrise, seeing beautiful water. And try to bring this to kind of, and enrich that feeling as much as you can, to try to intensify it if possible, but if not, no worries. And then when you intensify that feeling, if you connect it with your sense of warm-heartedness, share that feeling with the world, in the sense of, like, may everyone be happy. May I be happy. May all of us here today be happy. And now that stability again, going back to feeling our feet on the ground. If any residual emotions remain, that's fine, but we're just back in our body, back feeling our breath. And so now we'll complete the study. You've come back, you're back in the MRI, and now you're seeing, or back in the experimental lab, and you're seeing the picture again. Okay, here's that person. How connected do you feel towards this person? Now, they were working for 2 weeks doing daily meditation. So realize it's not the same, it's a study, but give it a try. And they also did, the other stranger faces, as well as themselves and their loved one again. And here are the results. So the loving kindness meditation, LKM, is what we just did, the loving thing. And the imagination thing is, hey, there they are in the park. Here's what they would be like if they were, at the grocery store. In both those cases, the target that they worked for these 2 weeks, that face became more warmly received, right? They felt more connected and happy about that person. But only in the compassion meditation, loving kindness situation did that spread to the non-targets. These other stranger faces, that they were presented, were also rated as feeling more connected, feeling more love towards them, feeling more similar towards them, right? This is cool. This means that just taking one stranger and working on, like, feeling warmth means that all of a sudden the floodgates open a bit, and you can feel a bit more of that warm-hearted feeling towards others. It didn't change towards themselves, because they probably have a pretty static image of their loved one, etc. But this is cool. And I did a similar kind of study with, I got a grant from the Mind and Life organization, which fostered these dialogues with the Dalai Lama. And personally familiar dislike people, I had them bring in pictures of people that they legitimately, like, a real person in their life they didn't like, and those were rated more positive after compassion and loving kindness meditation, as well as unfamiliar faces as well. So it also spread. It is kind of cool. So we're going to continue on doing a few more exercises that way. But as you can see, it's not a lost cause to have that numb feeling. It's something that your brain did to help you out, but there's a way to come back from it, and it's fairly straightforward.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Julie. Thank you. It's so powerful what she just condensed into like 15 minutes, um, because it's so true. And I bet you've all had snippets or big moments like this where you've noticed that this loving compassion and kindness that you give out comes back to you, and it opens up your heart more because maybe your heart has been shut down. So coming from a therapeutic point of view, as a counselor that I am at Chestnut Ridge Outpatient Therapy, is to, with this awareness, we're bringing us, all of us now, into more awareness of what am I feeling? What am I feeling in my body, mind, and spirit? What is going on inside of me? So with more awareness to yourself, you can tend to yourself like a plant. And many of you have heard me say this before. We need to water ourselves. We need to nurture and take care of ourselves, or else we're going to dry up and we're going to be terribly unhappy, and we will not have a well from which to share. We won't. So awareness of what you're feeling and validating it. Like, oh, today I'm feeling sad. Today I'm feeling moments of anger. Okay, and talking to those feelings actually. Hi, anger. What is this about? Hello, sadness. What's going on inside of me? How can I express this? Oh, I need, you might need to cry, or to get it out, more physically, maybe. Some people find benefit from ripping up pieces of paper, writing things down and maybe ripping it up, but giving yourself access to creativity, giving yourself access to expression. The more we withhold, the heavier it'll be. And we've got so much in our life already that's quite heavy. So much that's going on in our world, with people in our lives that might be ill, physically, mentally, and to validate mental illness as much as we do physical illness. So this awareness, and we're giving you tools with awareness today. Julie's loving kindness meditation. Heidi is going to be doing movement, yoga with breath work. I'll be doing a guided meditation. So just really, like you hear a lot these days, and I'm so happy, kindness to others and kindness to yourself. Because if you're filling that well up and you're nurturing and taking care of you to you, I cross my fingers, your primary relationship, guess who it's to? Yourself. It's you to you. And sometimes we have a hard time with that because maybe we were brought up, oh no, just think of others. You? Oh no. And a lot of us go into health professions, well, for many reasons, to help people for sure. But a lot of times it's focusing on others, and I'm not good enough or good enough or chopped liver. So working on those beliefs for sure, like I deserve peace, I deserve happiness, like Julie was talking about. We're sending out happiness. May you be well, may you be happy, and sending that back to yourself. This whole floodgate, this whole process opens up, like she talked about. So we'll be sharing that with you. And kindness, please, to yourself. It starts here. And if you notice that it's hard to be kind to yourself, that it's hard to have this loving compassion, that's okay too. That's okay too. All your feelings are okay. They are all valid. So sometimes I'll put my hand on my heart and I'll say, it's okay. Talking to that little person inside of me, little girl or little boy, that person, it's okay. We're creating a safe place. I encourage you to make a safe place in your home, to leave out a journal just in case you want to jot things down someday, just to an expression of how you're feeling. Let me see what else. I think that's about it for now. Let's get into more practice, because what we're going to practice is the key to regulating your emotions, to coming into the present moment without future tripping of the what ifs, which is anxiety producing, or in the past of ruminating, I should have. Well, please don't should on yourself. So we're coming into the present moment, and let's do so with Heidi now in some yoga and breath. Thank you.
Mm. Julie, my daughters play soccer, but I did unmute because today I do not want to have a three-peat, right? A hat trick. So I'm going to spotlight myself for everyone. Julie and Laurel, thank you so much for, yeah, so much information. I was actually just taking some notes because some key things were just coming out. And I thought I would just share just a few key things because they also apply to these practices, as Laurel said. Through our movement and breathing practices that I'm going to lead you through, we do make our connection to self. And when we connect to self, we better connect to that, the other, and how we can make the other not so other. That's our humanity, bringing them in, bringing them closer to our heart through loving kindness, through compassion. And so we move from, as Julie said, like numbness to feeling, and how our movement and breathing is a great way to tap into that. Whatever type of movement or breathing practice can assist you. And through the mindful steps classes we lead, and today you're going to have some, right? You kind of just, you pick the one that is going to resonate for today, that helps you kind of move out of the objectifying or numbing or disassociating, and just come back into feeling breath, feeling body, feeling muscles, even feeling the movement of the mind, which we do in meditation, and that movement of emotion. And then another was the access to expression that Laurel just shared. Our movement and our breath allows us to access a sense to express, because sometimes we feel like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Kind of that numbing, like frozen in a way. And how through our mindfulness practices, we can validate that, and then also make a choice to access some form of expression through movement, through meditation, through, Laurel, thank you so much, bringing up journaling or writing or something creative, that creative expression. So I just wanted to share that because I just wanted to, I know we go through these classes and it's like, wait, what did they say? That was so good. So I was writing stuff down, and let's apply that to this practice now. So I'm going to move my chair out of the way. You're welcome to stay seated if you want, but if you would like to get up and out of your chair and stand, that would be great. In our movement today, we'll start in mountain pose. So allowing yourself a moment to just connect to the ground through your feet and feel how the floor is holding you up. And I share this a lot, but you don't have to ask the floor. You don't have to ask the earth to hold you up. Thank goodness. It's already holding you up. So, oh my gosh, thank you. So feel the floor coming up to meet your feet, giving you a little boost into your body. See if you are standing in a way that is most comfortable for you now to be held up here. Feet could be close together, or you could even take your feet a little bit further apart. And we're going to start some activity, some movement, some creative expression through the freedom to move. So not having a strict agenda or a specific shape, but I'm going to invite you just to start shifting your body a little to the right and a little to the left, a little to the right, a little to the left. Or maybe you decide you want to do this a lot. Just start leaning. And maybe you just want to shift your gaze out into the room as you just kind of let your body sway side to side. Maybe the movement feels too big and you want to make it smaller. So give yourself a moment to sway side to side. Body shifting, accessing, feeling in the body. And now start to still the movement side to side. So we create movement And then we create stability. Find an equanimous state of standing again, recenter. And now start to shift yourself forward and back. So I'll turn sideways. So it's a little bit of moving towards your toes and balls of the feet, and then a little more onto the heels of the feet. Just a little back and forth. You can always adjust your feet. I sometimes like to take my feet a little bit wider, see how that feels. Feet a little closer, see how that feels, and where I can kind of rock forward and back, but also feel stable, like I'm not gonna fall back or fall forward. A little fun exploration. Maybe you do kind of teeter in that zone of, whoa, I almost fell there. And you caught yourself. You came back to your center. All right, start to slow down the movement forward and back and access that equanimous state of standing, floor supporting you, body becoming more still. All right. From here, we're going to move into hip rolls. So take your feet, if not already, a little bit wider. Soften your knees. So now we're going to move energy up to our center. So from your hips, like you're doing a big hula hoop, start to swirl out your hips. And again, it's freedom of expression. You can do this a little bit or a lot of it. Arms might kind of flow along with you, or maybe you like to have hands on the hips as you move. And again, eyes can totally just wander around. You can even have your eyes closed. Or if it helps, you can also look at one thing as you let the body move, circle around. And then change direction. So go a few times the other way. See how the body is accessing feeling again, sending movement up through legs, through hips. I know I'm feeling this, a little bit in my lower back. I did a lot of sitting this morning. And now from your circle, come back around, find neutral, find the floor. Feel the energy of your legs being held up here. Feel a little bit of activity through the trunk of your body. All right. And now we're going to add a little more activity. This one's going to move more up into the trunk and up into the shoulders and chest. Feet comfortably wide. Now we're going to start to rotate a little bit side to side. So as you rotate, again, maybe real small side to side. It's kind of like swaying, but you can turn and look to the sides of the room. You can make this bigger if you like and move your arms like windmills around the body. You can even take your arms up a little bit higher, right? See what it's like. Express yourself. The freedom to move in a way that feels good and okay. Freeing up maybe some tense areas, enlivening out from center to periphery. Just a couple more times back and forth. Start to slow it down. It's like a washing machine. Let that spin cycle come to stillness. No rush. Let your arms start to settle. Feet find the floor. Feet get still. Legs get stable. Little shifting back and forth. And then access that equanimous state. Standing still. From the floor to your center, to the heart. Maybe even settle your gaze. And just be in that experience. Nothing to force here. Just notice feeling awakening in your body as you still the body. That's a cool thought. Even in stillness, there's activity. Wonderful. Now in mountain pose, we'll create a little more stability in our body with a few more shapes. But we're going to integrate a breathing practice called Ujjayi. And Ujjayi we also call our victorious breath or an empowered breath. And Ujjayi makes that soft whispering sound in your throat. And it's like almost like the Darth Vader voice, but not so loud, right? It's like the very softest whisper. Your vocal cords constrict. So one easy way to access the feeling of this is to find an inhale that comes in through the nose. So do this at your own pace. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Do an HA sound, like you want to fog up a mirror. And then you'll inhale comfortably through the nose. Exhale softly, like you're fogging a mirror. Or you're like, how's my breath? I just ate some onions. Let's do that 2 more times, just finding the feeling. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. You can keep the exhale with the mouth open throughout this whole practice if you like with Ujjayi, or start to cultivate Ujjayi in and out through the nose. You'll still feel that little constriction, but you'll just breathe out through your nose. It will feel like a very soft sigh, or soft snore, sigh and a snore. So give that a try before we add movement. Ujjayi starts to streamline the breath, where you can really start to kind of form some, control in a compassionate way, where you can control kind of the length and pace and depth of your inhale and exhale. So now let's add movement. Stay with your breath, smooth and steady. Feet step a little bit wider, toes turn out slightly. Now with arms, move on an inhale, arms will come up. And as you exhale, Ujjayi breath, arms float down, palms down. Add it again, inhale. Feel the body open up and stretch, exhale. Breath-led movement here, one more with just the arms. Exhale. Nothing to rush, stay with this movement of breath, but we'll add in our legs. Now as you exhale, arms are going to bend out to the side, knees are going to bend. Inhale, stand tall again. Exhale, bend knees and elbows. Any amount, a little or a lot. See how it feels, and that numbness to feeling. Exhale. Inhale. This time, exhale, hang out for a little bit. Still let the body breathe. So the breath, listening to it, feeling it, being in the moment. Energy in the body, getting a little stronger, warmer. And now let's take the arms way out wide. Knees are still bent, a little or a lot. And now tip yourself over to the right. Right hand can rest very gently on your right leg. Left arm pointing up towards the ceiling. You can even look up towards the left hand. And now tilt yourself through center. Arms are wide. Tip yourself over to the left. And reach up through the right hand, gaze forward, or maybe turn your gaze, look up towards the right hand. And now back through center. Hands now can come onto your thighs and send your hips back. So hips will move back so you can really plant some weight of hands to thighs. And now when you're in this forward stance, turn your rib cage to the left and allow your rib cage to rotate and look off to your left. Take an extra breath. And now rotate, turn to your right. Ease into it. And then abide here, one more breath. We'll do that one more time each side. So ease your way around to the left. Once you get in, pause the shape, but let the body breathe. Feel the aliveness in your shape. Come through center. Last time, we're going to go to the right. Once you're there, explore a breath. And then ease your way out. Now stand back up into your mountain. So come up tall, walk your feet closer together. See what it feels like, new feeling and sensation in the body to land your feet back under the hips, legs a little more energized. Awake and aware to your sense of humanity, connected to self. Last bit of movement. Let's reach the arms up, any amount, tall mountain pose. Arms could be out wide, or feel free to bring them closer together. You just want to lift them up towards the ceiling, up towards the sky. We're going to be here 3 more breaths. So root down, legs to feet. Feet are being held up. So feel that energy boosted up from your hips to your hands. Last breath. And now invite your hands to come together. Palms can greet each other. A moment to rest hands right in front of the chest. This is a gesture that throughout all humanity, all cultures, this universal gesture that we see it, we greet it. It's like, oh, thank you, appreciation. So for a moment, turn that to you. Thank you. Appreciate yourself here. Gratitude that you have time in your day to connect to you and your humanity. And that ripple effect you share as you connect to all humanity. And now slowly release your hands and find a comfortable seat. And Laurel will guide us right into a mindfulness meditation. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Heidi. It's a wonderful way to go right into a guided meditation. We're going to have a guided meditation now for a few minutes. And here we go. You can close your eyes with completely if that feels good. And or you can have a fuzzy gaze down towards your lap or the floor. Or you can look at something pleasing in front of you. So whatever is the most comfortable for you today. And yes, so let's begin now with noticing your breath as you inhale through your nostrils, noticing if it's cool or warm. And then exhaling through your nostrils and noticing if that's cool or warm. And allowing your breath to flow like the gentle waves on the ocean. Easy in and easy out. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just being present in this moment right now. Maybe on the next exhalation, lowering your shoulders and jaw a little bit more. And allowing your breath to flow without any control, holding or forcing in any way. Maybe feeling where you feel your breath the most in your body. And that might be your nose, chest, or belly. Now slowly guide your awareness to your feet in your shoes or barefoot. Wiggle your toes a little bit, making full contact with your feet. And now feeling your feet grounded to the earth. And as best you can, try to imagine that you had roots like a tree grounding you deeply, deeply into the earth for strength and stability, kindness and compassion. Maybe a connection with all. And allowing that to be for a few more breaths. Welcoming that in. Now breathing that awareness of those qualities gently up through your left leg and right leg, into your left hip and right hip. And now feeling the full weight of your body on what you're sitting. Grounded into this precious present moment, like a gentle anchor in the ocean of pure being. Noticing where the mind wants to go, maybe to the future or past. Thoughts will come. That's what the mind does. It's beautiful. And once you're lost in a thought, just bring your awareness back to your breath, wherever you feel that most in your body. And now let's become aware if there's a feeling in the body, an emotion. From all we've talked about today, is there a feeling of some kind in your body? Or from this morning, from whatever time and space, just scan your body. If there's a feeling, and wherever it is, just greet it with a hello. Hello, feeling. I'm here for you. What do you have to share with me? And just listen. And letting the feeling know that you'll get back to it. If we don't have the time today to fully listen, which we may not, just let it know you'll get back to it. And then gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Letting your breath flow easy in and easy out. Nowhere to go and nothing to do. Now gently bringing your awareness back to this room that you're in. Maybe feeling the temperature of the room against your skin. And feeling your feet grounded into the earth again. And when you're ready, if your eyes are closed, gently open them. And just notice whatever you notice about this practice. And whatever you notice, it's okay. There's no judgment. None whatsoever. So from this meditation, I'd like to open it up. You know, we're kind of in a meditative state, so it might be hard to come back into your mind for a question. But if you have some lingering thought of how this was for you today, and is this okay that I felt that way, or it's all okay, but the three of us are here to answer any questions. So we'd like to open that up for you. After we do have questions, Heidi's going to do another little grounding exercise, and Julie will close us with the session. So please, if there's anything lingering on your heart or your mind, you can
Do
share.
people have like what, if anyone wants to share like why they attend it, or what types of things are challenging one's own humanity, that might be a but if you're not wanting to share, that's also totally valid. So but if somebody feels like, hey, this is something that's been on my mind, feel free to share it. Or if you connect it with one of the practices or ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
If not, that's okay too. We could
Mhm.
maybe go on with our exercises, and if you know, if something pops up, feel free to put it in the chat.
Mhm. Yeah. Heidi?
Yeah, so I know we're not too far from that stepping stone of the movement and breath work that we just did. But if you're wearing glasses and you'd like to take them off for a moment, just a way to just a grounding, centering exercise that I sometimes practice when I just need to like connect to self, get a little warm-hearted, but I actually use my hands. And it also helps me to soften some of the thoughts I might have, especially if I'm getting into that zone of the shoulds, or I am, I'm in the judging mind, whether that's judging myself or judging others. It's very normal to judge others, right? We compare, we contrast, and we judge. It's like, oh, coming back to the heart, seeing where that's coming from. So inviting your hands to come together and then start to rub them together. And while you're doing it, maybe just readjust your seat, put your feet to the floor. Get them warm. Can you feel the warmth coming in?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now you're going to take those warm hands, open them up, and place them there, like you're opening a book, and place them gently over your eyes. So your hands are almost like cupped like a soft sea. And let the warmth feel soothing, if that's available today, into the eyes, into the upper cheekbones. Maybe you notice in the forehead. And now noticing your fingers at your forehead, just start to move your fingers out towards your temples, towards the ears, and then down towards your jaw. Eyes can be closed or open, and just do that 3 total times. And then from there, hands will come back together, and then crisscross your arms to your shoulders, like give yourself a little hug. And now 3 times, you're gonna swipe out through the hands, maybe give it a little shake. Crisscross, sweep down the arms, give it a little shake, maybe the head gets involved. And one more time, sweep it out, give it a little shake. And then a hand can come to the heart center, to the belly. I know you can't see me. Or sometimes it feels more grounding, just let the hands drop right to the tops of your legs. And then let yourself be flooded with a breath. Welcome a breath in. Out through the mouth, exhale, breathe it out, down back into the feet. And one more of those, breathe it in. And exhale, grounding breath. Breathe it out and let energy be released. So that's a short little practice I like to do to reset, reground, connect to self, so I may better connect to others. Julie, thank you, friends.
Thank you, Heidi. I actually have a couple more slides to communicate this, but just being aware during the day of the things that are making you feel good versus not so good. Just reminding that there is a study on doom scrolling, and that's what we do because it helps distract us, right? It helps put up that numbing. And, if you're susceptible to depression, it can increase depression. And if you're susceptible to PTSD, it can increase that more so than traditional news media, because it's an algorithm that's pushing your exact button. Oh, there's a bird in my house. Sorry. That was a surprise. And just, I might have to deal with that. But don't be, feel like little things don't make a difference. Some baker in, 57 AD baked a beautiful loaf of bread And I was like, well, it's cloudy with a chance of volcanic devastation today. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do the little good acts I do in the world. And, thousands of years later, sadly, he passed away or she passed away. But we can appreciate this little acts of humanity. So never underestimating and maybe having a moment now for all the little tiny things that we do that puts a smile on someone's face, that keeps someone fed, that, makes someone feel good about themselves. Those are the little things we can feel gratitude for ourselves in this moment and feel gratitude towards all the other people that have lifted us up a little bit and supported us. So thank you. I think I'm going to go and try to get the bird out of the house. I'm at least going to go on mute, but we really appreciate you coming today. I feel like my heart has opened, and I'm almost in tears actually. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, I feel the same way, Julie. Thank you all. We have the end of the session, end of the class poll. If you wouldn't mind, it just takes a minute to answer the questions of the poll. And again, Heidi and I are here for a few more minutes too, if you have any questions that you'd like to put in the chat, or we'd love to hear your voice.
Yeah. Since we're at 1, Laurel and I will stay on. I think Julie's helping the bird. I'm going to stop the recording